hṛdi, from the heart, kāmaḥ, lust, bhruvaḥ, from the eyebrows, krodho, anger, lobhaḥ, greed, ca, also, adhara-dacchadāt, from between the lips, āsyāt, from the mouth, vak, speaking, sindhavo, the seas, meḍhrāt, from the penis, nirṛtiḥ, low activities, pāyoḥ, from the anus, agha-āśrayaḥ, reservoir of all vices. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lust and desire became manifest from the heart of Brahmā, anger from between his eyebrows, greed from between his lips, the power of speaking from his mouth, the ocean from his penis, and low and abominable activities from his anus, the source of all sins. Purport. A conditioned soul is under the influence of mental speculation. However great one may be in the estimation of mundane education and learning, he cannot be freed from the influence of psychic activities. Therefore, it is very difficult to give up lust and the desires for low activities until one is in the line of devotional service to the Lord. When one is frustrated in lust and low desires, anger is generated from the mind and expressed from between the eyebrows. Ordinary men are therefore advised to concentrate the mind by focusing on the place between the eyebrows, whereas the devotees of the Lord are already practiced to place the Supreme Personality of Godhead on the seat of their minds. The theory of becoming desireless is untenable because the mind cannot be made desireless. When it is recommended that one be desireless, it is understood that one should not desire things which are destructive to spiritual values. A devotee of the Lord always has the Lord in his mind, and thus he does not need to be desireless, because all his desires are in relationship with the service of the Lord. The power of speaking is called Saraswati, or the goddess of learning, and the birthplace of the goddess of learning is the mouth of Brahmā. Even if man is endowed with the favor of the goddess of learning, it is quite possible for his heart to be full of lust and material desire, and his eyebrows to display symptoms of anger. One may be very learned in the mundane estimation, but that does not mean that he is free from all low activities of lust and anger. Good qualifications can be expected only from a pure devotee who is always engaged in the thought of the Lord, or in samadhi with faith. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yatkripatam Maham Vande Shri Gurundi Naptaranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishvaram. So I have been around Mayapur for quite a number of years, and this is my very first Srimad Bhagavatam class here that I'm giving. So I beg special blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas and seniors both here in the Panchatattva extension hall as well as there in the internet world, so that I could speak from Srimad Bhagavatam truthfully, pleasingly, and beneficially, especially for my own purification. Hare Krishna. So the description of how different elements of material existence are manifest from Lord Brahma continues. Lust and desire became manifest from Lord Brahma's heart, which is quite understandable. Lord Brahma is the representative of mode of passion, and because you need to, he is in charge of creation of the material universe, so you need some passion to get things going. Passion also, one meaning of the word passion is suffering. Because of suffering, you need to act very vigorously to get relief from suffering. And we already were studying how the first entities coming from Lord Brahma were the four Kumaras, and Brahma wanted them to populate the universe, but the four Kumaras refused, so Lord Brahma got angry, and he didn't manifest. He tried to keep his anger inside, but it got manifested from his eyebrows, between the eyebrows as Rudra. And then there are other descriptions how different elements come from Lord Brahma. And here in the purport, this is Prabhupada is concentrating of distinction between an ordinary mundane person and a devotee. First of all, yesterday we heard a lot about different aspects of Dharma. Prabhu was giving very nice description of different aspects of Dharma. I would like to add the technical, Dharma is always usually translated as religion, but I would like to point out the technical point of view. Dharma also means quality which is inseparable from an object. So dharma of a water is to be wet, dharma of a sugar is to be sweet, and the dharma of a living entity is to serve. We serve so many things in this material world. In the working place we are serving our boss, we are serving our family, our country, ultimately our own senses. And then there is this conception of sanatana dharma, eternal dharma, eternal servitorship towards the Supreme Lord through Guru Parampara. And many times we hear when a Hindu is describing their religion, they come up with this word sanatana dharma. But actually I would say that sanatana dharma refers to all religions, because that's an eternal servitorship towards the Lord. I mean, all religions, they are trying to achieve the same goal. Other religious representatives or practitioners, they also pray, they go to the church, they go to the pilgrimage places, they try to get the Lord blessing their food, what they eat, and so they also are categorized in the realm of Sanatana Dharma. But external religions, you can shift from one religion to another, but Sanatana Dharma principle remains always. You cannot change it. So what comes through from the purport when it's describing difference between a materialist ordinary person and a devotee? There's a verse in Bhagavatam, 5th canto, Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarvar gunaistatra samasate sura harava bhaktasya kuto mahat guna manorathena satibdhavato bahi. All the demigods and their exalted qualities, such as religion, knowledge, and renunciation, become manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. On the other hand, a person devoid of devotional service and engaged in material activities has no good qualities, even if he is adept at the practice of mystic yoga or the honest endeavor of maintaining his family and relatives. He must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. How can there be any good qualities in such a man? So this word manoratha is important here, chariot of the mind. The Prabhupada begins this purport by saying a conditioned soul is under the influence of mental speculation. And however great one may be in the estimation of mundane education and learning, he cannot be free from the influence of psychic activities. I kind of understand this psychic activities, Prabhupada is referring to the mental speculation here. Otherwise, the word psychic also means people who have some extraordinary abilities of seeing subtle beings, being in contact with them. What are they? They have, somebody may have clairvoyance or be a medium, but I think Prabhupada is referring to mental speculation here. So Prabhupada very often quotes the Bhagavad Gita verse, Purusha prakritisto hi punkte prakriticha guna karanam guna sangasya sadasadhyoni janmasu. So we are born as being attached to different sets of modes of material nature, and therefore we get different kinds of bodies and different kinds of mentalities. And through these modes of nature, we are filtering the world, and mind is dividing things which the senses can perceive, dividing whether it's good or it's bad. So we see this world generally from this aspect. And so materialist conditioned soul is in the bodily conception of life in this way. So body is an all in all source of happiness for a conditioned soul. If something bad happens to the material body, it's a great loss. And the goal is to get more and more sense enjoyment in this material world. Pomsastriya mituni bhavametam pāyor mitho hṛdaya krantimahu atokriha kshetra sutapta vittar chanasya mohom yam aham mameti. So the basic principle of material existence is a connection between male and female. Then heart knot in the heart is tied, and one becomes attached to one's wealth, home, relatives, and so on. And therefore things in terms of I and mine. And the idea of trying to, it's very natural that one tries to lord it over material nature, as trying to see everything as an object, thinking that what is there for me. I remember when I was a young schoolboy studying English, and in our English book there was also an interesting comment which stayed in my mind. there was a statement that usually everybody thinks that whatever good happens to me is a result of my clever action, and whatever bad happens to me is the result of evil action of others. So this is perfect materialist. Anyway, we have a 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita which describes about divine and demoniac qualities. And therefore, such a person is in a cycle of sinful activities. Whoever is a Bhakti Shastri student here, they are learning about this cycle. One performs a sinful activity, and there's a reaction which is unmanifest at first, aprarabdha karma. And from aprarabdha karma, there are two ways how it continues. Unmanifest reactions, manifest reactions, prarabdha karma, and on the other side, from unmanifest reactions, there remains a kutam, sinful tendency, and that develops further to seed of sinful activities. And when that seed is fructified, the person commits a sin again. And this kind of loop continues and continues. And Prabhupada says in the purport that one can only get free from this sinful reactions loop when he's in the line of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So after trying to fulfill one's lusty desires in this way, one becomes frustrated from contemplation of sense objects. Attachment arises, then lusty desires, then comes anger, then memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and then one continues in the material pool. And since it is described that the anger comes from between the eyebrows, Prabhupada here explains that ordinary person, they are recommended to just meditate and concentrate the mind in between the eyebrows. And just to keep them peaceful and try to help them to rise to the platform of goodness. One time I met one Christian when I was on the street Sankirtan, and he recognized me as one of those yoga meditation people. He was speaking against the meditation because he had the idea that meditation means emptying the mind from all kinds of thoughts. So he had a small booklet, and he showed a funny picture where one is meditating, and there was like a empty space in his mind, and then there was one devil who was pushing his hand into the mind from the back of the head. So but here Prabhupada says that nobody actually can become desireless. And we understand that meditation still is meant to bring one to the platform of goodness. By the way, one side point I wanted to make here, that we might meet some different representatives of different religions on the street, but nowadays the tendency has been in the world that there's more and more interfaith discussions between different religions. I mean, I'm from Finland, and ISKCON Finland also is a member of, we have an organization in Finland called Forum of Religions, and it contains 7 different religions trying to cooperate with each other and show to the public about the ideal interaction of different religions. because even such a remote corner of an earth like Finland, it's becoming more and more multicultural. There are different people, many people from India also in Finland. Like this year in Krishna Janmashtami we had 3,500 guests, and mostly Indian people. Then we have Africans and people from Middle East, so there are different cultures represented. So this education from different traditions is very much needed, just to avoid any unnecessary conflicts. So mode of goodness is very important for devotees. It acts as a stepping stone to the transcendental platform, and Srila Prabhupada stressed that very much. Even in his when he was leaving his body, he was giving his last class, last lesson, final lesson. That's the video we usually see on Prabhupada's disappearance day, and he's speaking about getting rid of base qualities like passion and ignorance, and cultivating the mode of goodness. And he especially mentions waking up for Mangalarti. One is advised to rise before 4 a.m. and go to the, on my humble opinion, the best program of the day. And Krishna takes it even further. Traikunya Visaya Veda Nishtraikunya Bhava. That Vedas deal mainly with the subject matter of the three modes of nature. Rise above these different modes. Get rid of conception of dualities, and be free from anxieties for gain and safety. Be established in the self. So spiritually aware person is coming more and more frustrated about this material energy, because it doesn't really serve the purpose of us being happy, which is only achieved by our connection with the Supreme Lord. Krishna has three kinds of qualities: Sat, Chit and Ananda. And because we are parts and parcels of Krishna, we also have those qualities. So we are naturally looking for those qualities, but we are looking for them in the material energy, which is temporary, full of ignorance and full of misery. So our religious Krishna conscious activities are establishing ourselves in original spiritual position. So whereas Prabhupada mentioned that the ordinary person can meditate and concentrate the mind on between the eyebrows, he also continues that devotees already practice to place the Supreme Personality of Godhead on the seat of their minds. So we are trying to get rid of the bodily conception of life. And it starts with the first business of a yogi is to control the mind. And we would see that the material body is, like Prabhupada says, make the best use of a bad bargain. This material body is not very good thing to have. We need it for functioning in this material world. And but if you think about it, it actually offers limitations for us for performing blissful devotional service. It's limiting us. We could do much more, but the material body is limiting us. Prahlad Maharaj is concerned, expresses his concern to his fellow students that half of human life is already spent by sleeping. material body has to be put to sleep. The gopis, they are complaining to Lord Brahma that he's not very expert creator because he created eyelids which is blinking. Therefore they cannot see Krishna all the time. Then Srila Prabhupada mentions here in this purport of about goddess Saraswati. The power of speaking is called Saraswati, or the goddess of learning. And the birthplace of goddess of learning is the mouth of Brahmā. And then he mentions that even though somebody is very good in speaking, very intellectual like that, still he or she may not have very good qualities of conquering lusty desires and conquering anger. And if you think about such a person, which kind of personality comes to your mind? Which character? Hiranyakashipu? Any other thoughts? Durvasa Muni is very... yeah, they are learned persons, in a Vedic way learned persons. But what came to my mind especially is because Saraswati is mentioned is Kesava Kashmiri. Kesava Kashmiri was able to satisfy Goddess Saraswati, and Goddess Saraswati blessed him with a very good knowledge and a very good ability to speak. So he began to conquer all kinds of scholars around. All the scholars that had to confront him, they felt that Goddess Saraswati was herself speaking through Kesava Kashmiri's mouth. And so Kesava Kashmiri was traveling throughout India, defeating one scholar after another, left and right. So therefore he got the title Digvijay Pandit. So a learned person who was very victorious in all directions. So at that time, Navadvip was center of learning, and Kesava Kashmiri had heard about Navadvip, and especially there's one little boy named Nimai Pandit. So he wanted to go to Navadvip, and he traveled in a very grand way. He had elephants, horses, palanquin carriers, and all kinds of entourage in that manner. So when the scholars of Navadvip, they heard that Kesava Kashmiri is coming, so they quickly shied away. They made an excuse that, oh, I have to go to some other place to meet my relatives to perform a pinda ceremony, and all kinds of excuses. They didn't want to confront with Kesava Kashmiri because they knew that it would be a, how you say, it would chop, or sometimes I hear this word, head cut. So Kesava Kashmiri came, it was evening time. Nimai Pandit was with his students. Nimai Pandit was expert in grammar that time. So the atmosphere from Kesava Kashmiri's point of view was very pleasant. He saw Nimai there. And actually he asked from some of Nimai's students that who is this, who is speaking, and he was a bit enamored by the presence of Nimai Pandit. So then Mahaprabhu saw Kesava Kashmiri and offered him a seat, and explained that I have heard of you. You are a very great scholar, and you can speak very fluently, very nicely about different subject matter of philosophy. So please make some glorification of Mother Ganga here. So Kesava Kasmiri started with a very thunderous attitude to compose so many verses. It took an hour when he was finally finishing his glorification of Mother Ganga. And then Nimai Pandit asked him to explain some of his verses. I've heard different versions of the story that Mahaprabhu was actually reciting, after hearing only once all the verses, he was able to recite one of the verses perfectly, which Kesava Kasmiri had recited, and Kesava Kasmiri was very astonished that he even could remember one. And then Mahaprabhu pointed out different grammatical faults and said to Kesava Kasmiri, okay, try again. But then Kesava Kasmiri was trying, and then again and again Mahaprabhu was defeating, and Mahaprabhu was really chopping his pride. And at the end, Kesava Kasmiri was unable to speak anymore, so he was very embarrassed and he had to leave the place. And all the Nimai Pandit students, they were laughing. But Nimai Pandit was very friendly, that stay cool. And next night, Kesava Kasmiri saw the dream. That Saraswati herself appeared in a dream, that explaining everything, who this person Nimai Pandit was. And the hierarchy is there. Kesava Kasmiri got knowledge from empowerment from Goddess Saraswati, and Goddess Saraswati got her empowerment from Krishna. So, so then Kesava Kasmiri understood this, and he was able to give up his false pride. And next day he went back to Mahaprabhu and surrendered himself. And that was fortunate. He even gave up all his entourage and started to go around alone. And he was very much enlightened by true knowledge. One time I asked from my Gurudev in the beginning, after initiation, that I asked him, what should I do in the Krishna consciousness? What kind of service you want me to do? And his reply was, just be happy in Krishna consciousness. So I thought that that's a kind of a large spectrum. You can do all kinds of things. But the essence is there. I mean, I'm publicly known as being a bass guitar player. So many times I get invitations from the local kids that we have a program, come with your guitar. And at some point there has to be some person who is showing me this, meaning that please put your bass volume a little bit lower. So that's a reminder to me that I am still in the influence of false ego. So I start thinking that whether I should do this or not. But the conclusion is that, okay, you can do, but don't be attached. So this is a principle of yukta vairagya. We accept things in connection to the Supreme Lord, how we can utilize different manifestation of Lord's energy to His pleasure without attachment. One time I was traveling in Europe with Harinam Ruchi group. We did Harinams in different cities. We were in Czech Republic, Prague, We stopped at one railway station. I put down my backpack, amplifier, and we had a couple of book distributors with us. And later on, one of them told me that I tried to offer one of Prabhupada's books to one man there who was watching us at the railway station. And he said that I'm not interested in this stuff. I just came here because of the bass player. So he was stopping at the Harinam to see my bass playing, but at the same time he had to hear the holy name. So that was a sugar-coated medicine for this person. So everything has its place. Nowadays, this maybe that's a sign that I should ask for questions. One more point, kindly be patient. So this winter season, I'm taking a Mayapur Academy DT worship course. My fellow students are back there watching excitedly how I'm speaking. So in the course, we have been going through many lists of favorable activities, favorable qualities. The course started with Brahminical culture and education. So there are different parts in the scriptures where there are lists of qualities which we are trying to develop. Bhagavad Gita has already at least 3 of them. At the end of 12th chapter, there are qualities of a devotee who is very dear to Krishna. In 13th chapter, there are a list of qualities which Krishna announced to be knowledge, and whatever it is outside of this is ignorance. And I think in 18th chapter, Arjuna is asking, how does a transcendentalist act? How does he walk? How does he eat? And so on. So, as I mentioned, quoted this Manoratha verse earlier, in that purport there's also a very famous list of 26 qualities of Vaishnava. And this is Krishnadas Kaviraj's list of qualities which distinguishes Vaishnava from a non-Vaishnava. So I just quickly go through these points. 1. He is very kind to everyone. He does not make anyone his enemy. He is truthful. He is equal to everyone. No one can find any fault in him. He is magnanimous. He is mild. He is always clean. He is without possessions. He works for everyone's benefit. He is very peaceful. He is always surrendered to Krishna. He has no material desires. He is very meek. He is steady. He controls his senses. He does not eat more than required. He is not influenced by the Lord's illusory energy. He offers respectful obeisances to everyone. He does not desire any respect for himself. He is very grave. He is merciful. He is friendly. He is poetic. He is expert. And he is silent. And we were also taught that the essence of Brahminical culture is may all beings be happy. So this not necessarily mean that may all beings be happy along with their sinful activities, because Brahmana knows that these sinful activities lead nothing but to misery. Yehi samsparjada cha bhoga dukkayonaya evate adhyantavantah kaunteya nate suramate pura. The intelligent person does not take in pleasures which are risen from the senses in contact, their sense objects. Such pleasures have beginning and an end. And and that not only my happiness is important, but everybody else's happiness also. We need to get rid of this kind of selfish idea. So this combination, we try to look around with some good qualities and this kind of statement in the back of our minds, and everything turned very blissful around. That was my personal experience. So we try to save these Manoratha people from unnecessary miseries, and because their hope lies in the bodily conception of life. But judgmental attitude wouldn't help. We just need to go out and give them a positive alternative. Be out there, bring the festival. Even in Finland we have annual Rathayatra festival, and once a week a Harinam. So just go out there and meet the people. Give them the positive alternative. And give them some good taste in devotional service. I would like to end this class, one of my favorite verses of my MI study years. This is from 11th canto. Bhakti pare sanubhavo viraktir anyatra chesa trika eka kalaha parpadyamanasya yatasnatas yustusti pustikshut apayonukhasam. Devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment from other things, these three occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the same way, that pleasure, nourishment, and relief from hunger come simultaneously and increasingly with each bite for a person engaged in eating. Hare Krishna. I can ask if there are some questions or comments or corrections. Yes, Prabhu. Is there a microphone around?
I just wanted to comment that
Okay.
I've never been to Finland. And when the movement started in America, I couldn't imagine how Prabhupada could bring the Krishna consciousness movement to every country in the world, even countries we've never been to. Just astonishing. So we're very happy that you're a representative of Prabhupada from Finland. But probably most devotees may not even know where it is, or probably haven't visited. But Prabhupada came there and planted Krishna consciousness. Even if he didn't go physically, his representative, just amazing. I just wanted to make that comment when you say you're from Finland.
Yes, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for the comment. Yes, Srila Prabhupada never physically came to Finland, but his disciples did. For example, His Holiness Bhaktivigna Vinasa Nrsimha Maharaj, I heard that he came to Finland one time. He already left now. But yes.
One of the fruits of the Krishna consciousness tree. That branches are spreading everywhere, and here we have the fruit.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. All right. Hare Krishna. So any other possible comments, questions?
Hare Krishna.
Oh.
Thank you for your nice lecture. I was thinking about what Bhagavad Gita is saying. Krishna is saying Bhagavad Gita, the verse you mentioned, that actually knowledge starts with humility. That's the first sign of knowledge, humility. So you gave a nice example there of Keshava. Was it Keshava Bharat? Yeah.
Kesava Kashmiri.
Kashmiri, yeah. So then he came to the real knowledge when he was humbled. So that was just one comment, but my question is kindness. What does that mean for a Vaishnava? Kindness, because nowadays we may have so many conceptions from our background what is kindness. But for a Vaishnava, what does that mean? And also, you said a devotee doesn't have an enemy. But Arjuna is having many enemies, and also Maharaj Yudhishthira. So if you can just please explain those two. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Maharaj Yudhishthira and Arjuna, we can see about their, or learn about their attitude and activities in Mahabharata, and also in Bhagavatam to some extent, Bhagavad Gita. They were very regretful that they had to go through this war. They didn't want it, but it was not because of them that the war was inevitable, the war situation. Kindness. Yeah, well, I would combine it with the quality of being expert. Devotee is always expertly seeing in what stage people are at, what they can receive, and proceed there, express their kindness through that platform, so that these people can make an advancement from the position that they are at. Narada Muni gave Mrigari first instructions that at least don't kill the animals because they are suffering. Just kill them fully, so that there would be less suffering for them. And then he also showed the vision what will happen to Mrigari in the future. The animals were attacking him. So Hunter Mrigari got his lesson. All right.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Like in starting of lecture, you mentioned that all religion have some Sanatan element, or they are all Sanatan. So like, can you explain a little bit more? Because many religion we see they are they are ending into this heaven, and so many religions, also religions. So like, how can they be Sanatan? Like, little bit you can.
There are so many man-made religions also. Yeah, well, I would be referring religions as those which come from God. I mean, those main religions that we have, how they get started, I would understand that they are meant for some particular purpose to guide some particular nations who are able to receive idea of Sanatana in that particular way. But of course the Vedas are giving the most perfect vision of Sanatana Dharma. There's no doubt about that. I'm not sure if I could say so much further. I mean, I already explained that these other religious persons, they also pray. They ask blessing for their food. They also chant their mantras like they are Catholics have their beads, and the Orthodox Christians, they have their beads where they are chanting to glorify the holy names. Muslims are doing that, depending on tradition. Some have beads, some don't have. But they are showing their respects to God. I mean, Prabhupada also, he met some different religious representatives. He visited some monastery, Christian monastery, and he appreciated the spiritual atmosphere that was there. and some Christian authorities he met, and he didn't like how one Christian authority was deviating from the teaching, like what was this cardinal, I forgot his name, but he was explaining that why couldn't we feed hungry children with meat, and Prabhupada is always pointing out, thou shalt not kill, do not kill, why you are not following your religious orders.
So, Prabhupada used this cat of dharma or cheating religions. For which dharma Prabhupada used this word? Like which kind of religion Prabhupada used this word?
Yeah, I mean, we also see in the realm of Hinduism, there are, Bhaktivinoda Thakur also pointed out 13 apasampradayas. So it's not only these other religions that are, that there may be following or may not be following. So we need to be careful about what kind of tradition is representing a truthful idea of developing love for God.
Thank you.
Very good. Anything else? All right, we can end here. Srimad Krantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.